Your favorite teams, your favorite players. Come listen to the experts in the Bay.
I'm kind of a big deal.
101 WCSB. What is going on, Tampa Bay? Inglis here at 101 WCSB Thursday night. Hopefully everybody's having a good work week so far. You may be like wondering why I sound so happy. You're probably saying you went 3-3 last week. That means you got an overall 8-9 record. You're 0-3 on these so-called MAC games, which you proclaim are sleepers out there. And I just don't know how. After watching the Miami performance they put on last week, I'm not going to be excited. Let me give you a stat out there. Jacory Harris. I think I'm the last person who believes in Jacory Harris. And his stats the last 3 games, he's 45 for 68, 709 yards, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. When's the last time you've heard me run a stat off where Jacory Harris has had 0 interceptions? Sean Spence, 15 tackles, game-winning sack, ACC linebacker of the week. We're getting Oliver Vernon back from suspension. Now I'm gonna turn this off because there's a little low note here. Apparently, the Dolphins think it's cool to celebrate the Florida Gators national title on Sunday in Dolphin Stadium, where the Hurricanes play. It just so happens to be Tim Tebow's first start. And it just so happens to be against a Dolphins team that is pathetic. Now, I don't know if there would be a Miami celebration for a national championship up in Gainesville, but I highly doubt it. But you know what? I'm not gonna let that get me too sour because this is the first time since '92 that Florida has lost consecutive games by double digits. And in my belief, I think Miami is the best team in Florida right now. So that's saying a lot. So I wanted to rant a little bit, but I'm not gonna get too harsh right now. I'm going to get into my Blazing 5 picks. I'm sorry that I went 3-3 last week. Oklahoma, I thought, could eke one out, and it was looking good on that Western Michigan pick until the second half started. So let's get after it. Let's look at some picks. First one I'm looking at is Kansas State versus Kansas. Kansas, still the worst defense in the country. The line's at 11.5 for Kansas State. I like Kansas State. They got the 25th rushing offense, and Kansas has the 116th rush defense. And overall, their defense is by far, I don't know if anyone's seen them, they're the worst in the country. Kansas State's defense is 16th against the run, which is Kansas's strength. So I'm not seeing much offense from Kansas in this game, and I think Kansas State will pull this out by 2-3 touchdowns, so I like Kansas State minus 11.5. Next game I'm looking at is kind of is a risky one, but USC versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame's at home, the line's at 8.5. There's 8 seniors on defense for Notre Dame, and a very young USC team. Their skill players are all freshmen or sophomores. Notre Dame scored 30 or more points in 4 out of their last 6 games, and their defense is averaging 21 points against this season. So I think that bodes at 9 points, right above that 8.5 line. A young team on the road versus a team who's getting, I don't like to say it, but Notre Dame has been getting better every single week. I think their offense is rolling. I like Notre Dame minus 8.5. Next one, we're going to go out to the West. Washington versus Stanford. Stanford is 6-0 against the spread this season. The line's at 21 points. Washington has scored over 30 points, just like Notre Dame, in every game this season, though. So that would mean that the final score would have to be 52-30 in favor of Stanford. I don't think Washington's going to give that up, and I think their offense is good enough to keep them in the game, to keep it under 3 touchdowns. It's just like playing roulette. You see the numbers come up there. If it's been, 10 red numbers in a row, Black's going to hit sometime. I think the record against the spread is going to end this week versus Washington. Let's go back to the Big Ten. Illinois versus Purdue. I don't know why Purdue's getting so much respect. The line's at 4 points here. Illinois has the 12th ranked defense in the country. I think they're going to be a little upset after that embarrassing loss to Ohio State. The defense is going to keep the score low, and the offense for Illinois should be able to pull away by at least a touchdown here. So I like Illinois minus the 4 points. This next one, we're going to go to the ACC, North Carolina versus Clemson. Clemson's at home. Taj Boyd is not 100%. I think North Carolina has a pretty good D-line to get pressure on him. Clemson, They have the 84th ranked D versus the run, and I like North Carolina's run game. The guy Giovanni, he's from St. Thomas Aquinas down here in Florida. He is averaging over 120 yards a game. I think Clemson will win, but with the time of possession and the run game that North Carolina has, it's going to keep the scoring low, and I still think Clemson wins, but at 11 points, I like North Carolina plus 11. So just to run that back through the picks, I like Kansas State minus 11.5. Notre Dame minus 8.5, Washington plus 21, Illinois minus 4, and North Carolina plus 11. And just so you know, in case you were wondering, Miami is the favorite somehow against Georgia Tech. We're going to need a miracle because our run defense is god-awful, but I would just like to think that Tim Tebow is in the building, and the Holy One, it will bring his Holy Spirit to the city of Miami, and I think Miami's going to pull it out. So that's going to do it for this time for the podcast. Appreciate you all for listening to me. I will talk to you soon. Later.